On June 30th, 1976, Anneliese Michel was too weak to kneel. After months of refusing food and dozens of exorcism sessions, she weighed only 68 pounds. But the ritual continued. Because she could no longer perform the movements herself, her parents reportedly held her upright and helped her through them. Before the night ended, she looked at her mother and whispered,
"Mother, I'm afraid."
The following morning, Anneliese was dead. She was 23 years old, but more than 40 recordings from her exorcisms survived, capturing screams, growls, and voices that priests believed belonged to 6 different demons. Her death later inspired the Exorcism of Emily Rose. But Emily Rose never existed. The real woman was Anneliese Michel, and her case was decided not inside a fictional haunted courtroom, but in a real German court. Had she died because science failed to understand her, because religion failed to protect her, or because everyone around her became certain they already knew the answer? Anneliese Michel was born in 1952 and raised in a deeply religious Catholic family. Before the exorcisms, the recordings, and the films, she was described as intelligent, quiet, friendly, and intensely devoted to her faith. She grew up believing that suffering could have spiritual meaning, so when her health began to fail, Anneliese did not only ask what was happening to her body, she asked what it meant for her soul. In 1968, when she was 16, Anneliese experienced a frightening episode. She lost consciousness. Later that night, she reportedly felt an enormous weight pressing down on her chest, pinning her to the bed. Similar episodes followed, and her family took her to doctors and neurologists. Tests showed some irregularities, but nothing that completely explained what she was experiencing. Doctors suspected epilepsy and prescribed anti-seizure medication. For a time, the case still belonged to medicine. Then the symptoms changed. Anneliese began hearing knocking sounds inside her bedroom. Her sisters reportedly heard some of them too. She saw distorted faces around her and heard voices telling her that she was damned and that she would burn in hell. By 1973, she was also reportedly suffering from severe depression. To doctors, these experiences could be hallucinations. To Anneliese, they were not hallucinations, they were messages, and soon her family began interpreting them the same way. During a pilgrimage, Anneliese allegedly refused to walk past an image of Jesus. She would not drink from a holy spring. The woman accompanying her later claimed that Anneliese produced an unbearable smell. To people already afraid of demonic influence, these incidents looked like signs. Her family approached the church, but requests for an exorcism were initially rejected. Church authorities understood that unusual behavior could come from illness. They wanted evidence that the case could not be explained medically. But Anneliese's condition continued to worsen. According to her family and the priests, she destroyed rosaries and religious images. She screamed for hours, she crawled beneath furniture, and barked like an animal. She reportedly ate insects, spiders, coal, and other things no healthy person would normally consume. Her family also claimed that she displayed unusual physical strength. One account described her throwing her sister as though she weighed almost nothing. Another claimed that she crushed an apple with one hand. These accounts cannot now be independently tested. But inside that house, every new incident pushed the family further from medicine and closer to one explanation: possession. Father Ernst Alt became convinced that Anneliese needed spiritual intervention. Father Arnold Renz was selected to perform the formal rites. In 1975, after earlier requests had been denied, the bishop finally granted permission. On September 24th, the first exorcism began. Over the next 10 months, Anneliese underwent 67 rites. Some sessions continued for hours, and many of them were recorded. On the tapes, Anneliese's voice changes. She screams, she growls, she answers the priest with a harshness that many listeners find difficult to associate with a young woman. During the rituals, she identified the voices as Lucifer, Judas Iscariot, Cain, the Roman Emperor Nero, Adolf Hitler, and Valentin Fleischmann, a disgraced priest from centuries earlier. To believers, the recordings captured multiple entities speaking through one body. To skeptics, they captured a frightened, mentally unwell woman behaving in the way everyone around her expected possession to look. But there was a difficult detail. Anneliese believed the voices were real. Before the formal exorcisms began, the priests had not created her first visions. Her family had not created her first seizure. Was illness producing her belief in possession? Or was the belief in possession reshaping the illness? With every ritual, the two possibilities became harder to separate. The exorcisms did not heal Anneliese. During the rites, she repeatedly dropped onto her knees in acts of penance known as genuflections. Her knees became badly damaged, and her body was covered in bruises and injuries. But Anneliese believed that suffering had a purpose. She spoke about sacrificing herself for sinners and priests who had abandoned their faith. Then she began refusing food and water. She said the forces controlling her would not permit her to eat. This is where the case stops being only a mystery, because whatever was causing Anneliese's behavior, her physical decline was visible. Her face became hollow, her strength disappeared. She developed a high fever and was reportedly suffering from pneumonia. She could barely stand, yet no effective emergency medical intervention stopped the process. Her family feared that returning her to psychiatric care would mean drugs, restraint, and forced feeding. Anneliese reportedly begged not to be taken away. The priest believed the spiritual battle had not ended, and so the rituals continued while her body failed. By June 30th, Anneliese could no longer complete the ritual movements without help. That night, the final exorcism was performed. Her last known words to the priest were a request for absolution. To her mother, she said,
"Mother, I'm afraid."
By the following morning, she was dead. The official cause was severe malnutrition and dehydration. Doctors later argued that medical intervention before the final stage could have saved her life. The alleged demons had never been proven, but the condition of Anneliese's body could not be disputed. Anneliese's death did not end the story. It moved the story into court. Her parents, Joseph and Anneliese Michel, and the two priests, Father Arnold Rentz and Father Ernst Alt, were charged with negligent homicide. The trial began in 1978, and the courtroom became a conflict between two explanations. The prosecution argued that Anneliese had suffered from epilepsy, psychosis, depression, or a combination of neurological and psychiatric conditions. They claimed the exorcisms strengthened her belief that she was possessed. Psychiatrists described this process as doctrinaire induction. In simple terms, every ritual confirmed that the voices were demons. Every command directed toward those demons made possession feel more real. Once everyone around Anneliese accepted that explanation, it became increasingly difficult for her to escape it. The defense presented another interpretation. They argued that Anneliese sincerely believed she was possessed and had the right to refuse treatment. They presented witness accounts and the exorcism recordings. They insisted that her family and the priest were not trying to harm her. They believed they were saving her. The recordings disturbed the people who heard them, but disturbing evidence is not automatically supernatural evidence. The court did not have to decide whether demons existed. It had to decide whether the adults surrounding Anneliese had allowed a preventable death. All four defendants were found guilty of negligent homicide. They received 6-month prison sentences, suspended with probation. The court concluded that Anneliese was no longer capable of making safe medical decisions for herself. The people caring for her should have intervened. The film changed names, locations, characters, and events. Emily Rose became an American student. The real priests were combined into a fictional character. The true case became a supernatural courtroom thriller. But Anneliese Michel's story is more uncomfortable than the film because it offers no clean villain. Her parents believed they were protecting their daughter. The priests believed they were fighting for her soul. Anneliese believed her suffering had meaning. We cannot prove that she was possessed. The recordings are disturbing, and some witness accounts remain difficult to explain completely. But unexplained does not automatically mean demonic. Frightening does not automatically mean supernatural. What can be proven is that a young woman became dangerously ill. She stopped eating and drinking. Her body deteriorated in front of the people who loved her. And while everyone fought over the meaning of her suffering, no one stopped her from dying. The film gave Emily Rose a final letter, a spiritual purpose, and a courtroom willing to hear her story. Anneliese received no such resolution. She got a grave, a trial, and a question no one could answer. Perhaps the darkest presence inside that house was not a spirit. Perhaps it was certainty. The certainty that every new symptom was spiritual, that suffering had meaning, and that the ritual had to continue, because once everyone became focused on defeating the thing they believed was inside Anneliese Michel, they stopped protecting Anneliese Michel herself.